Good attention. You probably want a calculator. You can do this with me. And this is what the quiz is going to be on today. Okay? So Kaylee, pay good attention.
There's a quiz today.
Thanks for paying attention. All right. So we're going to do this little quiz thing. Okay, so watch, take notes, do these with me as I do them.
I need a
So
scratch.
that you will have some notes and you know what we're doing. Okay? We want to do mead, yes.
Where's some scratch paper?
No idea. I don't own scratch paper. That's your problem. Paper's your problem. You bring absolutely nothing to class and you expect.
I don't know where my backpack is.
That's the problem.
Hey, how do you wake up in the morning?
I don't. That's my mom.
Okay. Here we go. So, how do we do mean?
I totally got myself.
This is important. You gotta know this. Write it down in your notes. What do you do to do mean? No, tell me. What do you do?
Add those all together and divide
Add them all together and divide by what? How many there are. How many values there are. So how many values are there? How many are there? Count that first. I always count that first. 1, 2, 3,
9.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So add them together. And what? And divide by how many there are. Okay, so I'm going to divide by what? 9, right? In this case. Will you always divide by 9? Are you going to divide by 9 on the quiz?
No.
No, you're going to add them together and divide by how many there are. Okay? So, I'm going to add them together, divide by how many there are. That's the mean. What did you end up with for the mean? You ended up with an answer. Add them together and divide by 9. Give me to the nearest decimal on the mean. And on the quiz, give me to the nearest decimal on the mean. Okay, what'd you get? Rounded decimal, first decimal. Did you get something? What's your name?
Diana.
Did you get something?
No, I'm still kind of adding. it
Oh,
together.
you're adding them together?
Yeah.
36.
That doesn't sound right.
361. How about that? Is that too
Now that might have been what you added them all together, then you gotta divide by
Oh,
what?
yeah.
It's okay, then you gotta divide by
I
what?
got 40.1.
40.1 is correct. So make sure you can do that on a calculator, okay? Make sure that you can do that on a calculator to get 40.1. So what did we do? We added them all together and divided by what? 9. Will you divide by 9 on the test? Probably not unless there's what? 9 things, right? So it just depends on how many things there are is how that mean works. So it's not like always dividing by 9. It's add all the values together and then divide by how many values we get. Everybody with me? Okay. How do I do median? Easiest way. Take the range, right. So first do the range. What's the range? So this was mean. What's the range? What's the highest? 48. This is like test scores out of 50, right? So 48 was the highest. What was the lowest? So 48 to 30, oh sorry, is the what? Range. So I would do that second before you do the median. Do the range. Because now what am I going to do with 48 and 30? You're going to add them and divide by 2.
Is it highest or lowest or does it matter?
It doesn't matter, right? You shouldn't, doing it that way is actually truly not the median, by the way. The median means the midpoint between the values.
39.
So the median should be,
39.
add them together, add 48 and 30 together, which is 48 plus 30 divided by 2. That's going to give you 39. That's the what? That's the median score. Add the highest and the lowest, divide by 2. Write that in your notes. Because again, the 48 plus 30 is only 48 plus 30 on this problem, right? So you're going to add the highest and the lowest, divide by 2. That you use the range to find the median. Everybody with me on that? Pretty easy, but that's what you got to do. All right. Next one. Mean, median, mode. What's mode? It's the most commonly used, right? Or the most commonly gained or whatever. So which one's used most often?
42.
That's really easy. So 42, you just look at them all and say which one was used most often. 42 is the what? Mode. Like I said, those are like scores on a test or something. How do I solve this second equation? What's the very first step to solving this equation, Adam? What's the first step to solving this?
What?
What's the first step to solving this equation for x? Getting the x by itself. What should I do first?
Divide 23 by 5.
Okay, don't do that.
Minus 3 to 23.
So you gotta think, I wanna get this x by itself, I gotta get rid of the negative 2/5 in front of it, and I gotta get rid of the 3 behind it. Everybody with me on that? Those are the two things you gotta do. You gotta try and get the x by itself. I'm gonna do that by getting rid of those things. Which one should I get rid of first? You always get rid of addition, and that's something I put in my notes. Get rid of addition and subtraction first, before you get rid of the number in front of the variable. Get rid of addition and subtraction first, before you get rid of the number in front of the variable. So I'm gonna get rid of the addition of 3 by subtracting 3. Everybody with me so far? Any questions? Everybody understand why I subtracted 3? That wasn't in front of the x. What is the 2/3 in front of the x doing to the x? Well, it's multiplying and dividing, right? The negative 2 is multiplying, and the 5 is what? Dividing. You've got to do the opposite to solve an equation. So, Kaylee, what should I multiply by? What is being divided?
5,
So I gotta multiply by
5.
5. What do I gotta divide by, Gavin?
2.
But it needs to be what?
Negative 2.
Negative 2, because a negative over negative will be a positive, and I want the x to be positive. Okay, so I'm gonna put that. If I multiply this side by 5 over negative 2, what do I have to do over here? Same exact thing. Don't switch it. I have some kids who will write 5 over 2 here, and then all of a sudden I'll see them write negative 2 over 5 there. That's two different things. You've got to do exactly the same thing to both sides. So I got to times this side also by 5 over negative 2. Now, does the negative 2, I'm going to put the 20 over 1 just to make it easy. What, does the negative 2 go into 10, go into 20? Just gave that away. Yeah, how many times does negative 2 go into 20?
10.
Negative.
Positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative 10 times what then? 5 is negative 50. That's my answer. Okay. Everybody got that one? You got it? What's the first thing I'm going to get rid of? Add or subtract. Second thing I'm going to get rid of? The number in front of the variable. If it's being divided, I need to multiply. If it's being multiplied, I need to divide. That's simple. Okay, get rid of it. All right, next one. Okay, so this one I'm going to read to you, and then you just, and some of you can't see it, some of you can. Okay, Travis, you're going to do this one. So if you did a survey and 2,560 voters said they would vote for Joe Biden out of 5,000 voters, how would I write that as a proportion, first of all, or a ratio? How would I write it as a ratio?
560 over 5,000.
Good. So the first thing you want to do is write it as a ratio. And by the way, Sage, this is the type of stuff that's on that ratio quiz thing. Okay, out of 5,000. Okay, now, once I have that ratio, it should be equal to the ratio of the other side. The tricky part is knowing what to put on top and what to put on bottom. What did we put on top on the left? What does that 2560 represent? People who are voting for what? Biden. What does the bottom number represent?
The total.
All the people who were in the survey, right? In the original survey. Okay, this, by the way, is kind of a sample of a state a little bigger than Utah, so like Arizona or something. So this would be what you would get in an Arizona type survey. Okay, so if I expect 1 million people to vote in the election in Arizona, how many of them would I expect, if this percent holds, if this ratio holds, how many would I expect to vote for Biden?
0.
How do I do it? How do I do it on this other side? What should I put on top? What should I put on top? How come I put a B there?
So those are the people for Biden.
Those are people for Biden. I don't know how many out of a million, right? What should I put on the bottom though? A million. Okay? And this is how they do it, by the way. This is what's going to happen in this election, by the way. So they're gonna do a survey. They'll do 5,000 voters in a survey. They'll call you up on the phone, remember, and they'll say, hey, are you a registered voter? They'll say, yes. And they'll say, who do you plan on voting for in the election? Boom. That's all they gotta ask. And then they do this survey. They see that 2,560 people throughout the state of Arizona were going to vote for Biden. And then they say, all right, how many votes on election night am I waiting to see to know I probably won the election? That's what they're looking for, because you're only counting votes that election night. Everybody with me on that? So they just gotta know, hey, when we reach this number, if we reach this number of votes, we're gonna win. So how many votes do I expect to see on election night? That's what this is asking. How many does he expect to see? Well, now I can just what? Cross what? Multiply and divide. Now, you can reduce, this will reduce by at least one what? 0, that'll make it a little bit smaller. Not a lot, but at least it makes it a little bit smaller. I wouldn't worry about reducing more than that though. It just doesn't make much sense to do so because you have a calculator, right? So I'm gonna cross multiply now. So I've got 256 times 1, which is 256, and then I just have these zeros. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So when you cross multiply, just keep those zeros. 1 times that number, boom, I'm there, okay? But then that equals, cross multiply here. Remember, we got rid of this last 0 because we just reduced easy. So this is 500B. What should I divide by? 500. That's what you gotta punch into your calculator. Okay, so somebody do that on their calculator. 256 million divided by 500. What'd you get? Anybody get that one? Did you get it?
112,000.
112,000? Anybody else get that?
512.
Yeah, 500.
Oh, 512,000. So on election night in the state of Arizona, Biden's looking at the election results and it shows the total number of votes, right? It also shows a percentage of what he's getting. We, as Americans, we typically look at the percentage and see who's winning the state, right? But that isn't what they're looking at. They're looking at this number of votes. And it says it in the bottom too, it's just that we don't ever look at it. But the people who are working for these campaigns, they're like, I know that if I get what? 512,000 votes, I probably won the election. Because that's meeting what our pollsters are saying I should have. If not, I'm in trouble. If I see the votes coming back, then they may say, hey, at this point in the election, there's 80% reporting, meaning 80% of the people who we expect to vote have voted. And so far, Biden has 400,000 votes. And he's up by a certain percentage. Well, the other percentage that's left could all vote for what? Trump. And then all of a sudden Biden would lose, and Biden's like, what just happened? But he knows what's going to happen based upon the total number of votes he expects. This is what he would expect. He would expect 512,000. Okay? So this is the type of questions you're going to have on your quiz today. Something like that. Okay? Now, let's do this one. You want to roll a sum of 4 or an 8 on a roll of 2 dice. I'm going to roll 2 dice at the same time. What's the probability of rolling a 4 or an 8? What should you have in your notes? And you should have it in there already. What should you have in your notes? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, what? 12. You should have all those rolls of the dice. Do you have that? You should have it somewhere in your notes. 2 through 12. What's the probability of rolling a 2? If not, write it right now. It's not hard. Write it. Rolling a 2, what's the probability?
Wasn't that like an assignment?
It was. But you should still remember it. So just like this, remember? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Write that down, just like that. What's the probability of rolling a 2? How many ways can you roll a 2? You're rolling two, well, how many ways can you roll a two with just two dice?
One.
One way, has to be a one and a what? One. How about a three?
Two.
Two ways, 2, 1, or 1, 2. You with me on the two dice? 2, 1, 1, 2. So there's two ways. How many for 4?
3.
3, 5, 4, 6, 5, 7, 6, 8. This is where it gets tricky.
5.
It goes back down, right? It's 5, 4, 3, 2. Again, 1, think about it, 6 and 6, right? So it goes up to 6 and then down with the numbers, with the sums being these. So, you want to roll a what? 4 or a what? 8. Because it says or, what do I do with those two values?
Add.
Add. Remember that, that's something you want in your notes. Or means what? Add, and means multiply the probabilities, not just the numbers. Multiply the probabilities. So and means multiply the probabilities, or means you can just add though. So we got 4. How many ways can we roll a 4? 3 ways to roll a 4, and an 8, or an 8 I should say. 4 or an 8. 3 plus 5 is what? 8 out of, how many total rolls are there?
360.
How many
36.
possibilities are there?
36.
6 times 6, which is what? 36.
Gosh, what?
That's the probability of rolling a what? Sum of 4 or 8 on a roll of dice. What's the probability of doing so? I want all probabilities to be listed as a reduced fraction on the quiz. Okay? You can do it as a percent also if you want, but I want them as a reduced fraction at least. So I gotta reduce that. What goes into both 8 and 36? 4 for sure, right? What's 4 into 8? 2. What's 4 into 36? So 2/9 is what I want on an answer on that. Okay, that's your probability. Could you write it as a percent? Sure, but I don't care if you do.
How did you get to 36?
How did I get to 36? How many sides are there on one dice?
Well, I'm 6.
6 sides. How many are there on the other dice?
6.
What's 6 times 6?
36. Okay.
Guess how else I got 36? What if I took 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1?
36.
You would get 36. So if this is the probability of rolling a 2, and I add up all the probabilities, remember, and this is something else you want to have in your notes, what does the probability of an event A really mean? What does the probability of an event A occurring mean? It's possibilities of A divided by total possibilities. Okay? In other words, possibilities of a 4 or an 8, how many are those? What are the possibilities of rolling a 4 or an 8? 3 plus what?
5.
5, 4 or an 8, keyword or, add. 8 out of what? All possibilities. Now I could either add all these up to figure out all the possibilities, or I could just simply think about it and say, hey, there's 6 and 6. 6 times 6 is what? 36. So that's all possibilities on the bottom. Okay? You got it now? Okay. Let's try this one. So again, same type of thought process as this. Possibilities of it actually working, being true, divided by total possibilities. So Chancey, we got 9 green, 12 blue, 6 yellow in a bag. What's the probability of drawing a green and then a blue if you replace the marble after the first draw? Okay, so what's the probability of just drawing green, Chancey? What's the probability of drawing green? How many greens are there?
9.
So 9 out of what? And again, all you're doing is total possibilities. So what should I add together? All the marbles. 9 plus what? 12 plus 6. What's 9 plus 12 plus 6? 27. Everybody understand how I got that? Okay. That's of just drawing a what though? A green. And then I'm putting the marble back in, and I'm pulling another marble out. Okay? What color am I trying to pull out the second time? I'm trying to plot what? A blue. So what's the probability of a blue? 12 out of what?
27
27. What should I do with those two? Add them or times them?
times,
Multiply. How do I know I should multiply?
because and.
The key word is and, right? And then, right? So I'm going to multiply these. If I'm multiplying, can I reduce before I multiply? Yes. Any factors on the top can reduce any factors on the bottom. Well, 9 goes into 27. That's easy. 9 goes into 27 how many times? 3. 9 is 1. 9 goes into 9 ones. Does 3 go into 12? Well, yeah, that's what? 4. Does 3 go into 3? Yeah, that's 1. So therefore I have, does 4 go into 27 or reduce with 20? No. So the answer is what? 4 out of what? 27. That's the probability of drawing a green and then a what? Blue. The key there is multiplying. A lot of kids want to add. But when it says and, you need to multiply the possibilities, multiply those probabilities. How did I get 27 on the bottom? It's all the marbles in the what? In the bag. The top numbers represent the ones you're trying to draw. Those that would make it true. Green out of total, and then blue out of total, and then I just reduce before I multiply. It's that simple. Okay? Next one. What is the probability of drawing a spade? Again, same idea as right here. Everything is the same idea, just different situation. So spade of a deck of 52 cards. So how many spades are in a deck of 52 cards, Tommy?
Spades?
Yeah.
13.
There's 13 out of what?
52.
Now, will that reduce?
Yes.
Yeah, that's actually one what? 4.
Fourth.
Everybody with me on that? Now, what's the probability of drawing an 8, 9, or 10? How many 8s are there in the deck?
4.
4. How many 9s? How many 10s?
4.
So 4 plus 4 plus 4. How come I'm adding them? It says an 8, a 9, or a what? 10. Or implies I should do what? Add them. So I'm going to do 8 plus 9, or not 8 plus 9, but the possibilities of drawing 8. Possibilities of drawing 9. Plus possibility. So 4 plus 4 plus 4 is what? 4
12.
plus 4 plus 4 is?
12.
12 out of 52. Oh, that reduces 2 because 2 goes into both. What's half of 12? Well, actually, I guess 4 goes into both, huh? So 4 into 12 is 3. 4 into 52 is
13.
13. Now, this is the key part. So these are the two probabilities. If you were going to have one draw from a deck to win a prize, and you could choose to draw a spade, or you could choose to draw an 8, 9, or 10, what would be the best choice? If I gave you the option. Spades would be a better choice. How come? That ratio, 1/4, what is it as a decimal? Do it on your calculator.
0.25.
0.25 or 25% chance. Do 3 out of 13 on your calculator. And you'll see this decimal is smaller.
0.23.
0.23. I got a 23% chance. If I want to win a prize and I want the best chance of winning that prize, take 25% over 23% all day long, right? So even though it's only one card difference, it does give you a 2% greater chance. So you definitely want to try to do it that way. Any questions? You can stop that now.